Jarek, how's your life going?
Amazing. How is yours?
Will you care to elaborate on that?
No, it's just amazing.
Why are you being so pissy?
Why are you being so pissy?
This is an actual interaction that happened between a Hockey Hall of Fame reporter and an NHL superstar. If you didn't see it, which I'm sure you have, we're going to play it on here. I have it pulled up. Leon Draisaitl, and I think it's Jim Matheson, I think I said his last name right, had a back and forth where Jim kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and eventually Draisaitl kind of snapped at him, I guess. I know you and I have very different opinions on this. So how about we play the clip first for everybody to hear and see if you're watching on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, drop a sub. And then we could react to it and break it down because I'm sure we both have a lot to say about this. How does that sound?
Yep. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Let's get to it. Share screen with audio. This one, share. All right, here we go.
Did you think over the last 2 years you've been second in your division and you showed a lot of maturity, but now you've lost 6 in a row twice? Did you think your team was past that, of not getting into these long losing streaks?
Sure, yeah.
Lots of reasons for why the Oilers are playing the way they are in terms of winning and losing. What do you think is the number one reason for the losses now? Is there one thing that you, in your own mind, you're saying we got to get better at that?
Yeah, we have to get better at everything.
Would you like to expand on that?
Nope. You can do that. You know everything.
Why are you so pissy, Leon? Why are you so pissy?
I'm not. I'm just answering your
Yeah, you are. Whenever I ask you a question.
I gave you an answer.
Not very good one.
Okay.
Well, I have one more for you. Leon, you show your frustration on the ice last game against Ottawa. Is that a good thing when you show it so the other team knows you're frustrated?
Yeah, it's a great thing, for sure.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm looking at getting us a soundboard. And one of the sound clips will be, why are you so pissy, when someone on the show is being a little bit grumpy, just so everybody knows. What is your reaction to this? Because there is probably 5 or 6 aspects I can break down here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts first.
Well, first I want to start off with, I understand where the frustration would come from. Like you are on a losing streak. You're losing games right now. You're not doing your job to the best of your abilities. So obviously sitting there and being asked about it's probably not the easiest thing. But you know what's going to make it a little bit easier? Making $8 million a year and having that be your job. And that is playing professional ice hockey. That's your job. And your job is to answer questions after you play. It's your job to answer questions after you practice. And to sit there and just to straight up not answer the questions that you're being asked, it's just ridiculous. And it just goes to show you where the Edmonton Oilers are right now, and it's not a good place. I really want to know your opinion on it before we get deeper into it.
Well, I thought the whole exchange, like just my opinion as somebody watching it, was hilarious because I don't remember like I know we had, was it Jacob Voracek lashed out at a reporter last year. Phil Kessel did it to Dave Feschuk in Toronto.
Matthews of Steve Simmons a couple years ago.
Yeah, that one was a little bit different. John Tortorella to what's his name? Brooksy. Whatever. Yeah, in New York. Those guys never got along. But this one was kind of like on that level. The Matthews to Simmons one was more him, calling out Simmons for his unethical reporting, which is that's a different conversation we can have. But so for this one, first off, credit to Jim. Like, this is the only credit I'm going to give to Jim here. He got in another question after pissing off the guy he was interviewing while there was a PR team present. So, well, I don't know too many people that could pull that off. But his line of questioning was very predatory. Like, he was looking for Draisaitl to say something that he didn't want to say. What is the one thing that you guys could improve on? He's waiting for Draisaitl to say, "Oh, our goaltending sucks," or "Our defense isn't good enough." He's not going to say that. Like, can you imagine like the story that would happen? And we wouldn't be talking about this exchange. We would be talking about Draisaitl's answer if Jim had asked his question, what's one thing your team could improve on as a whole? And he had said, oh, we need a save back there. Because then we'd be talking about, oh my God, Draisaitl threw his goaltending under the bus. So we actually answered the question correctly by saying, oh, we just need to improve in everything, which they do.
No, 100%.
And then my other question is, where the hell was Edmonton's PR team? How did you let this guy get 5 questions in a row? Because there was 2 more before this started filming.
No, yeah, that I definitely agree with. There are more reporters in the room. It is everybody's job to ask questions. It's not just about Jim Matheson in the room. But again, he was the one asking the questions. And again, it is Leon Draisaitl's job to answer these questions. It's this now the second play in a row when it comes to Edmonton that 2 of their star players that are just straight up being jerks to the reporters because they're frustrated with their team. And it kind of goes into the whole, it's Leon and Connor and the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, but you say
it's 2 separate things right now.
You say it's his job to answer the question, and I'll push back a little bit here. Let's put yourselves in Leon Draisaitl's shoes. You're, a top 5 player in the NHL. You are performing on the team. On your team, you're not one of the problems, which I think we could agree Draisaitl is the least of their issues. And
I would still disagree with that.
And somebody
You're losing games.
Yes, but somebody asks you, what's wrong with your team? Are you going to sit there and do a full comprehensive breakdown of what's wrong with your own team? Or are you just going to brush it off and be like, like how much more heat would the Oilers be under if they're falling apart from the inside, right?
No, I agree with you. But what's the history of hockey? It's answering questions with cliches. There's 1,000 cliches out there
that's true.
Could have got Leon Draisaitl out of that situation.
And you know what? Player. You know what? I think he did use one of them. We need to get better at everything. Getting better at
that answer I have no problem with. That is a cliche that every single hockey player is going to use to get out of that situation. But when it comes to Leon being pissy, it's true. He was being pissy towards that reporter when that reporter wasn't asking hard questions. The one question, yeah, we can agree with that. It wasn't a great question, but again, it goes back to it being your job. You're making millions of dollars a year. The least you can do is just answer the questions for your 5-minute press conference. That's it. That's what it comes down to.
And I agree with answering the questions with more than he did, but don't answer the questions in a way to endanger. I guess endanger is the word. Endanger.
That's a perfect word.
Endanger yourself and your team in the eventual media crossfire. Damn, that sounded real good. Like,
that sounded great.
Yeah, like because you don't want that. You don't want the fallout from it. You don't want that media fallout. You want Jim Matheson to ask you that predatory question, and then eventually he's able now to ask that predatory question, go back home and write a hit piece on you, which Jim is known for.
No, yep.
I don't like Jim. I don't think he's in the Hockey Hall of Fame and he's done a lot for the game, but I don't like his stuff. I think he's in that old boys club we all talk about. Like we need to move on.
I agree.
We need to move on from that. Like, yes, he has done fantastic work. And Steve Simmons was like defending his fake account. That's a whole nother thing we could get into. But by saying like he the first thing he said was Jim has interviewed the personalities of Lemieux, Gretzky, and another famous hockey player. Who cares? That doesn't apply to this situation.
No, don't get me wrong. My opinion here isn't for Jim Matheson. It's against Leon Draisaitl, if that makes sense.
Yeah, mine's not for Draisaitl, but it's against Jim Matheson.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like
we're not.
I'll always take the player's side and see it from their point of view. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be able to see it from a reporter's point of view, which I think is funny considering what we're doing right now. But
and that's where I respect you. And that's where I like you because you're going to come from that player side. I feel like I'm going to come from a side that's more just what I think is the right side versus the wrong side. And that's where I'm going to come with. And that's where I kind of feel like our opinions and our conversations are great because we're coming from 2 different directions.
But you know what we didn't do? We didn't piss each other off.
No, we're feeling good and we're ready to move on to a different conversation.
Yeah. Chicago Blackhawks had some, I don't know if they meant for it to come out or if it was leaked, but I believe it was Pierre LeBrun reporting today that the only untouchables in Chicago are Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, and Seth Jones. This kind of surprised me because there's a big name, two big names on that team, Marc-Andre Fleury and Alex DeBrincat. When I read that out to you and stall while I pull up their cap friendly, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, first, I'm not necessarily shocked that Fleury's name's not on that list for untouchables, because I do believe his stay in Chicago is never going to be a long one. The DeBrincat one, it makes me question if that list is not necessarily false, but it's maybe missing a couple names, because DeBrincat is, to me, a star player and even growing into a bigger star player in this league, into the upper echelon. So it is kind of shocking that he's not on the initial list, but I mean, don't get me wrong, the other three, they're going to be hard to move with those contracts, right?
And yeah, that's the thing. Like, those contracts are killer. I think they're both making 10 million. I don't know how much longer it's in for.
I think that's like $31 million between the three of them.
Yeah, for sure. Seth Jones, like, he, as a big of a mess he is in his own defensive zone, which is reflected in his -11 this year. I can understand wanting to keep him considering the price you paid for him.
And the offensive upside.
Yes, and that is why they do want to keep him. But I look at like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, both 33 years old. Kane's put up 35 points this year. Toews only playing, I think he's only played. Oh no, he's played 39 games. He came back at the beginning of the season. The timeline's all messed up.
See, the thing with Toews, though, before you continue, the thing with Toews is I will kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. He is coming off of a completely missed season.
Yes,
and coming off of I don't know what was it, just a sickness, I believe. So I do kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But again, he's not the player that he once was. So it is kind of weird that he's on the untouchable list.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at this list. Like, Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are both 33 years old. So this suggests, by saying you're only protecting three guys coming into the trade deadline, that you're going for a rebuild. So your rebuild's going to be built around two 33-year-old forwards and one 27-year-old defenseman. That doesn't seem to make sense. Where on the other side of it, you have Alex DeBrincat, who's 24, with 23 goals and 9 assists this season, which is phenomenal. Brendan Hagel, who has, he's got 10 goals, 9 assists for 19 points. Dominic Kubalik, who I really, really like his face-off percentage this year is 60%, which is actually phenomenal. Kirby Dach, who's a great NHL player. Dylan Strome has so much potential. Jake McCabe, for as much as Leafs fans hate him, he's going to be a phenomenal player in this league too. Like, these are guys you're looking to trade. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, even like a guy like Connor Murphy, he's a 28-year-old defenseman. You use him right, he's going to do something good for you. And these are guys you want to give up. Like, who are you bringing in? Because you're going to be bringing in young
name too. Even a lesser name too, like Kevin Lankinen. That guy kind of came out of nowhere as a backup goalie, maybe a potential starter, and you're just going to kind of just ship him off for nothing. And again, like Kubalik, that's another guy who he's had a 30-goal season in this league, and you're just going to ship him off. It's odd. It's Chicago is a weird situation right now.
Yeah, and like, my question for them is like, what are you bringing back? Are you bringing back young prospects? Because you already got them. Like, Hagel's 23.
I feel like
26,
you'd have to bring back draft picks.
Yeah, Kirby Dach's 21. Dylan Strome's 24. Riley Stillman's 23. Jake McCabe is, he's a little bit older. He's 28. You still have, like, I mean, Calvin DeHaan, he's probably a lost cause at this point. But like you said, Kevin Lankinen 26. They got a bunch of guys they can, potentially build a team around. If you were, like, think of how much teams would overpay for a guy like Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews. And that just goes back to show that hockey culture is so broken in a way that they don't want to let go of these guys. They don't want to do it. No, and my question is, why? Like, do you have to show? And I guess that's another discussion. Like, have Toews and Kane earn that respect of being able to finish out their careers in Chicago? Probably yes.
Yeah,
I won't argue with that. Okay, then what is what's your plan outside of that? Because now you're kind of stuck, right?
Is that why everybody else is not untouchable? Because you're going to kind of sail into the sunset with those two players and hopefully trade off everything else for draft picks, and then eventually have a team when those two do leave, and you have a team kind of behind them ready to go. I don't know. I don't necessarily have that golden answer because it's just an odd situation because I really feel like this team was going towards rebuild, traded for Marc-Andre Fleury, and then all of a sudden thought they had a chance to become a Stanley Cup contender again, and everyone was kind of talking about the Blackhawks come play preseason, and then the season started, and everyone knows what happened there. So
Yeah, they had a rough start.
Yeah, and it's an odd situation because again, like you said, they do have the pieces there if they wanted to move those bigger names, but it's like they don't want to move the bigger names and they want to move the pieces. It's weird.
The one guy that probably is going to move is Marc-Andre Fleury. He's played 27 games. He's looked.
Here's a question for you though.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's this maybe unwritten rule that just because we didn't name players as untouchable, that there's players like Brandon Hagel, there's players like Alex DeBrincat that aren't going to get moved? We're just not going to bring those names up, or do you think those names would be on the list if that was the case?
I just can't wrap my mind around them moving Alex DeBrincat.
No, me either. That's kind of what my question's based around. It would be him.
Like, you would have to bring back a younger player, or
and first, in my opinion,
or a player of the same age with the same offensive output as DeBrincat. Which,
do you have any player on the top of your head right now that it would be an Alex DeBrincat comparison?
But let's stick it to local market, like DeBrincat and Nylander, similar numbers. I think Nylander's at 37 points, DeBrincat's at 32. They play a very similar game.
Mm-hmm.
Same draft year too, I believe. So,
yep.
Nylander was a year.
No, I think DeBrincat was Matthew's year because DeBrincat and Dermott were the same year.
Yes. So, I don't know. Like it's baffling me that this is their strategy, keeping these older guys. But I mean, they're going through some stuff right now. I don't think we're ever going to really see the. So you get as I was saying, one guy I think that is definitely moving is Marc-Andre Fleury. He's played 27 games, 13 wins, 11 losses. He's got a 9.16 and then a 2.69, which isn't bad. 3 shutouts too. He could help a team make a playoff push. I'm looking at a team like Edmonton, who needs goaltending, and I think Fleury could come in there and really help them out. So keep your eye on that. And if I had to put money on one trade definitely happening this year, that is Marc-Andre Fleury to the Edmonton Oilers. What is the return? I have no idea. It probably starts with Evan Bouchard.
You think so, eh?
Yeah.
You got to remember, there's a $7 million price tag with Marc-Andre Fleury, though.
I don't think Edmonton loves about it.
All right. Well, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think they care about that. All right, let's move on to the next thing. We're done shitting on Chicago. Montreal Canadiens have hired a new general manager who I didn't even know was in the running, Kent Hughes. He's he was an agent. He's represented the likes of Patrice Bergeron and a couple other guys. I'll pull up the full list.
Which he won't be able to do anymore, correct?
Yes, you cannot do both. That would be very, very strange. But my favorite part about this whole thing was the hiring of Kent Hughes was announced, and then the whole conspiracy theory came out that because Patrice Bergeron's a UFA this year, that he's going to sign with Montreal, which I don't think would ever happen. I think Patrice Bergeron can recognize a burning ship when he sees one, so he would stay very far away from that. But my question to you here is, and I think it's fair to say that we can leave the analysis of the breakdown of the new GM for the Habs fans, but as outside fans who I'm sure we both want to see the Habs do well because the NHL is better when the Habs are competitive.
And it's been a while
with
when
the other
the
teams.
Leafs and the Habs are competitive.
Exactly. We want a Saturday night game that actually means something.
We want to beat the Habs when it actually matters.
Yes, for sure. Not in the playoffs, just when it matters.
Because we can't do that.
Yeah. Joke's on you, Habs fans. Yeah, it didn't count.
Win in the playoffs.
What direction should the Habs take here? Because they have guys locked up in very, very long contracts. I know Carey Price is there for a while. They still got to worry about the Shea Weber contract. Josh Anderson's tied up. So I take a look at this here. Jonathan Drouin is tied up till the end of 2023. Josh Anderson is tied up till the end of 2027. Mike Hoffman, end of 2024. Like nobody is up at the end of this year. I think the only guy is Cedric Paquette. I don't even know who that is. So, what do they do here? Because you can't really trade guys. You got a bunch of RFAs. I know Alexander Romanov is an RFA, so they have to re-sign him. Kale Clegg, RFA, and Sami Niku is an RFA as well. And then you got two UFAs on defense, Brent Kulak and Ben Sherratt. Ben Sherratt's probably gone.
Yeah, he's gonna get moved.
Yeah, for sure. And then you got two.
A team like Edmonton would make a move for Ben Sherratt.
Yeah.
Well, first off, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Weber contract is now dead money because he's retired.
He's not retired. He's on LTIR right now.
So that means that money's not against our cap though. So, because like it would be a situation like Nathan Horton or David Clarkson. But anyways, I feel like the Montreal Canadiens are going to be hoping to go a certain route like the Maple Leafs from the 2015-2016 offseason, where you make trades and you only retain salary when you really have to. And first off, like players like Josh Anderson or players like Nick Suzuki, Duran, those are guys you don't necessarily have to move, and you can move other pieces and bring in pieces during that rebuild to build around those guys because they're still a young age, and this rebuild could start quick and end quick as well. They already have pieces there. Let's be honest. I know we're Maple Leafs fans here, but they do have good pieces. Nick Suzuki, like I said, Josh Anderson, Romanov. Yep, Shane Wright probably next year. I personally do believe that Carey Price gets moved. I believe that's the contract you keep half of if you truly have to. But I do believe that's where the moves kind of start because you can't go anywhere with a rebuild when you're paying somebody $10.5 million. You can get away with those contracts again with Anderson, with Suzuki. You're not necessarily paying them the King's ransom with those 2-3 players, so you can get away with it. But I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have to hope to get lucky with different trades and teams taking on players with maybe LTIR, just taking on different contracts and not having to retain any of it. Maybe they retain 25% of it, 15% of it, but even still,
they'd have to retain 50.
But you're gonna hope you don't. But if you do, you see what you can do and you kind of try to make the moves you can. But I feel like they should go or try to go the Maple Leafs route and hopefully get lucky in a sense.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't know what direction the Canadiens can take here. I think it kind of has given me vibes as to when Brendan Shanahan came into Toronto and he took the rest of the year to evaluate where they're at. I don't think we're going to see any moves with the Canadiens, maybe a couple minor moves where teams need their help at the deadline and they get a draft pick out of it and all that. So
call me crazy. I think the Arizona Coyotes are in a better position than the Montreal Canadiens.
I do too, because I think they have something like 12 draft picks next year.
Yep.
So
but I don't know. I like I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but I like the whole route of the player agents and former players getting these jobs instead of just kind of being the same old guys and just recycling around.
I was very critical of this hire, and then I listened. One of my favorite podcasts right now is called Agent Provocateur with Adam Wilde and Alan Walsh. Alan Walsh represents a lot of the big names in the NHL, most notably Marc-Andre Fleury and Nikita Kucherov. And he talks with Adam about like the ins and outs of the NHL. They have some massive guests on, so definitely check out that podcast if you're a diehard hockey fan and want to learn about like the insides of the game. But before the episode this week, they actually had Marc-Andre Fleury on. It was a really good episode. Is
Alan Walsh the one that tweeted out the sword in the back picture?
Yes, it was. And they and on the first episode, they get the full story behind that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great show. But Adam asked him, like, what do you think of a player agent being hired? And he goes, it's a fantastic move because these guys have the connections. They feel the pulse of the NHL, and they're always going to have that respect as somebody who's not going to take any shit. So I'm obviously paraphrasing there, but that's just kind of the general vibe of this hire. So, Alan Walsh clearly knows his stuff. So I'll take his word for it.
And that's what I was thinking too. Like these guys literally talk to teams all the time. Like,
And
these guys have
he
the
has
ins and
those
outs.
connections already. Like he
Exactly.
already has Kyle Dubas on speed dial, or the guy in Tampa, Boussois. He's got his name on speed dial too.
And that's where I feel like when you're a former player or you're a player agent, you kind of avoid that whole situation Kyle Dubas went through, where everyone kind of not picked on him, but kind of just put him off to kind of cast him off as the guy that's easy to make trades with and easy to get over in a trade with.
For sure. So we'll see what happens in Montreal, but let's move on to the NHL's had some drama this week, and this kind of put the icing on the cake. This really unfolded. Carolina was playing Boston, and a reporter asked Vincent Trocheck if his game and Brad Marchand's were similar, to which he responded, "Are you calling me a rat?" Marchand, with the big crybaby he is, instantly responded on Instagram by saying, if you're calling me a rat, that's like comparing a Lamborghini to did he say a Prius?
A Prius to a Lamborghini.
A Prius to a Lamborghini, and then posted like the screenshot of Trocheck saying this, where he was drafted, and then compared their stats in an Instagram post. Carolina
Trocheck has like 355 points in like 584 games, which is pretty decent if you ask me.
Marchand's played longer, he's got more cups, whatever, Olympic gold medals.
One more cup.
That was pretty good. Okay, that was pretty good. Carolina then hammers Boston 7-1, and Trocheck got a pretty nice hit on Marchand during the game.
Yeah.
After the game, Carolina tweeted out the L stands for Lamborghini, to which Marchand responded, "You're the reason we still pay 20% in escrow."
Which Carolina's Twitter account tweeted back, "We just tweet, man."
My first question is, should team Twitter accounts probably just stay the fuck out of it?
No. That's literally what Twitter's about.
I hate that Carolina account with a passion.
But I guess, but like at the end of the day, it's 2022. Social media is going to be a big part of everything.
The worst one is the Vegas one.
That's fine. But again, like that is what Twitter's about. Social media isn't about being serious. It is about being a joke. It is about being a joke. Brad Marchand does look like an idiot when you're going to continue this little bit of feud. Get
Pause.
Bodied 7-1.
The Knights are playing right now, and I'm pretty sure a 12-year-old is behind their social media campaign. First intermission poll. What color is Lemon Lime Gatorade? End of one. Us one, Habs one. Mood. And it's Elmo shrugging. They just tweeted, "Hey," with like 3 E's. Games Chandler Stevenson has a point in. Most of them. Hockey time. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Score, score, score. Like, who's tweeting this?
Yeah, that's kind of obnoxious.
I liked it better when they were being dicks.
No, but again, we're talking about Carolina here. Carolina's Twitter account has always kind of been funny. It always has been the top notch of the Twitter, the NHL Twitters. But I don't know. Marchand does look like an idiot. This is a week after saying that he owns the Patrick Maroon, and Patrick Maroon literally has 3 cups that Brad Marchand's won. It just Brad Marchand just kind of seemed like he's thinking he's just kind of walking around with his PP out, and that's kind of what he seems like right now. And it's just it's not a good look.
My favorite Marchand moment was when he missed the puck in that shootout in Philadelphia, and people were, taking their shots at him, obviously, and then he just tweeted out a photo of him lifting up the Stanley Cup. Like,
which is fine, man. You won a Stanley Cup. You won a Stanley Cup 10 years ago.
Yeah, I kind of respected that, but like, if you're gonna go take time out of your day to screenshot 4 things, post it on Instagram to come up with a caption, and then also delete it, don't lose the game 7-1 and get hammered by the guy you were chirping. And then follow it up by trying to be the bigger guy. Like, but you know what? I enjoyed every moment of it, and we need more of this in the NHL. Give me more of it.
What I don't understand, though, is this guy loves being called a rat until you call him a rat.
Yeah, some people don't like to hear the truth.
I guess.
Yeah. Lastly here, the NHL, they've rescheduled 98 games that were postponed. 98 of those will be made up of the 98, 95 of those will be made up during the break in the schedule that was marked for the Olympic break. So they will be using that Olympic break. The league also announced that it will relax its testing protocols after the All-Star break. Asymptomatic players and staff who are fully vaccinated will no longer be tested unless they are crossing the border, which makes sense. Regular season is still scheduled to conclude on April 29th, so we should be shifting back to our regular schedule here. Now, the Leaf schedule is pretty condensed in February now. And this is from Joshua Cloak, Maple Leafs beat writer. Like a lot of teams, the revised schedule means the Leafs are going to have a compressed schedule. 9 of their rescheduled games come between February 7th and 26th. They do have a 5 and 7 in there. So they'll be playing 5 games in 7 days. While 6 of those 9 games are on the road, only 3 of those 9 games are against teams currently sitting in a playoff position. So they have an easier schedule. What is concerning, though, is that given the frequency of these games, however, is the possibility of injuries in that time frame. If Leafs management is interested in making a trade to bolster their lineup, it might need to come sooner rather than later to prepare for that stretch in February. That's one thing I want to talk about. Good that the NHL was able to get, all these games squeezed in that time and still keep on the regular schedule so we can get back to normal and have the playoffs.
I got a beef with it.
Go ahead right now.
I just don't understand where the last 2 years you've proven to everybody, you've told everybody that you can move this schedule wherever, whenever, however you want to, and we're still gonna stick to this whole end date thing. I just don't understand. We talk about this even playing field. We talk about this. We talk about that. All these teams that got these games postponed are mostly Canadian teams. There's only 7 Canadian teams in the league. Where's the parity here? I know it might sound biased, but I'm being serious. Where's the parity? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. So the reasoning behind so many of the Canadian clubs having more rescheduled games is because, let's use the Leafs as an example. Every home game they don't play, let me rephrase that. Every home game they play without fans, they lose $3 million. Which is understanding.
Which
NHL...
makes more sense to wait, because the longer you wait in Canada right now, you're going to have fans because
yes. That's why you got to reschedule them, right?
No, 100%. But there's 10 games in between the time where they don't have fans and they do have fans. So that's 10 times 3. That's $30 million. Am I dumb? Am I right here?
Yeah, it won't be that full amount because you'll be able to have, I think, half capacity
which is fine, but it just doesn't make any. So they can't have any fans until February 21st.
Right.
There's 10 games before that. Yeah. So you say you're losing $3 million per game. It's
not 10 home games. Though. I don't think it's 10 home games for February 21st.
Yeah, Elliot Friedman tweeted out that there's 10 home games in between that stretch. So it just doesn't make any sense where the league has proven to everybody that they can move the schedule around, move the end dates of the season, move the playoffs, tell players that they need to stay in hotels, tell players that they can play in the summer. And then all of a sudden now we're just like, we need to finish it on the 29th of this month and blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. It's frustrating, to be honest with you.
And I think the biggest
I can only imagine how the players feel.
For sure. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is that now you're probably going to see these Canadian teams make a trade before February 5th to get their guys in before this long stretch of games. So, we might see that trade chatter pick up real quick here.
Which will be fun. I think it's going to be a fun end to the season.
You know what? I'm excited for the final stretch here, man, because it's going to be quick. It's going to be fast. Like, we've had some postponements, but, you look at the calendar right now. We're January 20th. The season's supposed to end April 29th, and the Leafs still have more than half a season to play. Yep. It's going to be a fucking sprint, and it's going to be fun. And it's not just the last 2 years. It's not just the Leafs. Like, other teams. Like, there's so many fun stories this year. I'm excited.
Yep, I agree.
Good show, buddy.
No, it was good. It was a good chat.
It was a good pace.
Can I hear about the Anaheim versus Avalanche game last night? You sent me a playoff tweet. I want to know how that game was.
Oh, okay. So I'm watching Anaheim, Colorado last night. This was, I think there was 3 scraps, all of them just, heavyweight.
I saw the one. I saw the
Yeah,
one. That was a
yeah,
doozy.
it was great hockey. The Ducks were in it till the end, man. Like, credit to them. They were without a lot of their guys. John Gibson's first game back in 5 games. No Troy Terry, who is a top 5 player in the NHL currently point wise,
And All-Star.
and All-Star. Troy Terry is an All-Star. Side note: how's Trevor Zegras not at the All-Star game?
He's going to be at the All-Star game for the shootout challenge. I heard.
So he's an All-Star.
Technically, yeah.
So where's Trevor Zegras' announcement?
I guess we'll find out, dude.
I also like they're bringing in these like I guess you call them like hockey TikTokers and hockey Instagrammers, like Pavel Barber and a bunch of those, a bunch of those other guys to do. What's the other guy's name? Something Bell.
Zach Bell, always hockey.
Yeah, Zach Bell. There's another. There's a young lady who's a 6-stick handler. I can't remember her name now. They're bringing all these guys in for the shootout challenge, so that'll be fun to see too. But yeah, no, the Ducks hung in there. They competed with the Avalanche, who are arguably one of the top 3 teams in the NHL. Just a great game. It had a playoff vibe to it because both teams really wanted to win. No team let off the brakes. Kadri was running around like he usually does in those intense games. It was just kind of nice to see a game with some intensity to it because I think it's been kind of lacking since after the Christmas break. I think teams are still trying to get back into the swing of things, and this game just really seemed like it was the game to get back into the swing of things. So it was a nice little refresher to say like, oh, this is what hockey can be like. So no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great game. And shall we do I know we've been shitting on the Oilers. I haven't checked the score. You want me to do a quick live update on the Edmonton Oilers score right now?
Do it.
All right. They're playing Florida right now, the best team in the NHL. And the Panthers are up 2-0 with 15 minutes left in the third.
And
so
Draisaitl is a -2.
Jim
And
Matheson. Old Jimmy is just horny for this post-game press conference right now.
Don't worry, Jimmy. You're not the only one, buddy.
I will be tuning into Oilers Live or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah. Connor McDavid has 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, doing nothing right now. Sorry, I got excited there.
I just think like it's the best potential storyline that they get shut out tonight.
Oh,
because
I'm going to watch it.
Like it's not like it was even like a 7-6 loss where McDavid and Draisaitl both put up 4 points, and then you can identify it as being a goaltending issue. Now, if you lose like 3-4, 5-0, you put up no offense and your goaltending was shit.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that Michael Matheson had 2 goals in the Pittsburgh game tonight. So
shout out Matheson's.
Yeah. Shout out, you know what? Shout out Orion or Orion.
Shout out everybody.
Yeah, shout out all the good souls in the world. Keep listening, keep tuning in. Follow at Coach Josh 16. Follow at Jarek Moore. Follow at Fenced Opinion. All right, guys, follow us all. Thanks for tuning in.
And we have an announcement to make on Sunday. We are expanding. Just received confirmation of that during the show.
Expansion. We're talking Seattle Kraken.
No, even better. Like, comment, subscribe.